Hello, and welcome back to Helo's World, the railroad reseller. Today, what I'm going to talk about is three things. First of all, my wreck. Second of all, I'm going to talk about VHS. And then I'm going to talk about VHS and comparing it to vinyl records. Okay? So, I'm first of all going to go into my wreck. You haven't seen me for over a week on videos or shorts or anything. I was in a pretty bad wreck. What was I've said it before, I worked full time. Um, I had got up early Monday morning, packaged stuff out to ship. Then I worked a 9.5 hour shift from work. I dropped off a guy that I give a ride to work for. I was heading home. I was about 5 minutes, give or take, from the house. They're doing road work on my road. I can actually go another way, but on the main road that I usually like to go at night, they've been working on it for, I don't know, 2, 3 weeks, maybe a month. Anyway, I've gotten used to stopping for a couple minutes, sometimes a couple minutes, sometimes 10 minutes. Anyhow, I was stopped. There was a car in front of me, stopped. I gave a good amount of space when I was stopped. I'm just waiting there. I'm listening to music, and what I'm waiting for is a lead truck to come around, come get us, and lead us through the construction. So, um, there are bumper strips that rumble strips, what they call them. There's lights. There's all kinds of signs. So just let you know, to give you a little background. But anyway, I'm just sitting there, and all of a sudden, I get smacked. There's not even really a good word for how hard I got hit. But I'm gonna put some pictures up of what my vehicle looked like. Of course, it's a total loss. I was hit by a 19-year-old girl. The cop told me he charged her with failure to stop. Um, we would be at some point. I'm gonna have to appear in court and just tell them what happened. But she was charged and that. So I'm waiting still on the insurance at this point to see how much I'll be getting towards buying something different, not necessarily new, but different. Because I don't go in debt for vehicles and stuff. Um, so, but anyway, it's a pain. I'm okay, you know, shooken up a little bit, and I'll admit, it gets your anxiety going and stuff when there's something like this happens because you're at dead stop and then all of a sudden somebody piles into you. At 2 o'clock in the morning, it's definitely an eye opening situation. Um, but I'm gonna go ahead and show you some what solds, and then we're gonna talk about some other stuff. All right, let's go over some things that sold. Sold this Metal Gear Solid 5 strategy guide. I picked it up for $1 at a yard sale. It was at a kind of a state type yard sale. They were moving to a different house, so they need to get rid of everything in the house. Best sale of the year so far I've had, really. But anyway, $17 and something plus shipping on $1. Don't sleep on manuals. Most manuals actually end up having the little barcode thing. Always, if you're at say you missed out on video games, always check to see if there's manuals laying around. If there are, scan the barcode and see if the manuals aren't worth something. Honestly, in the manual world, like say Final Fantasy 7 and stuff, that stuff's not as valuable. What you're looking for in the manuals guide is obscure role playing games. Obscure role playing games are really good in the manual world. Sold these Life Strong, Lance Armstrong, biking type shorts. $11 and something plus shipping on that. I sent on an offer. Sold these Steph Curry shorts, $18.99, free shipment on those. They didn't even do that well this year, but that sold. Sold a polo here, just a Brooks Brothers 346 black and gold polo, just an extra large, nothing special about it. $11 plus shipping. That probably was $1 a day pickup if I knew the truth. Sold this tricolor ink here. I think we got about $14 and something plus shipping on that. Like I said, if you don't know nothing about ink and you say, but I see this one, that one make big money on ink, I'll tell you really the key, you can sell expired ink by all means. But you really want to look at that date right there. As you can see here on this date of this ink, it's October 2023. So there's a good chance that this ink is still used by a lot of printers and that you will sell it. But if I looked at this date here and seen October of 2012 or something, probably it's an ink that the printers aren't around much, that use them much. So there's probably not a lot of demand for them. So, told you a while back, or maybe this just different videos you've gotten this, but I got like 3 tubs of free VHS. This was in it. House, $7 plus shipping. You know, whenever I get something free or real cheap and I partner out anything I can get, I get. So $7 plus shipping, I'll take it. So now what we're going to talk about is VHS. And the fact that, you know, there's a resurgence in been in VHS. And it's probably even been in the last 2 or 3 years, this resurgence of VHS. People even bought some VHS to resell, you know, on the resale market. My claim to fame, as I like to say, is I bought a sealed Star Wars VHS for $1 at a yard sale and sold it for over $3,000. If you want to see that, me package all that and everything, that's my very first YouTube video. I honestly never shot that video to be on YouTube. I kind of considered it. I wasn't 100% sure. But the reason why I shot that video was just in case there was any type of controversy by the person buying it, anything like that. And, I'll tell you, from that process, everything went well. The guy left positive feedback and everything, but I was very worried. But if you really want to hear a good story and not about car crashes, that is a really good video, I think. It's a good video for me, so. But, VHS has come around, and I'm glad VHS is doing well. And recently at Walmart, they had a VHS come out. It's called the Terrifier 2. Now, before you get anxious and want to watch that, let me give you a thing. You can watch it for free on Tubi. So, there's that. But before you get all anxious and hit Tubi and hit play, let me warn you. I like horror movies, okay? For me, it was a little bit much. And I'll just leave that out there. Now, some people, I'm going to say some stuff in here that may hurt some people's feelings. It's not meant to hurt people's feelings, but it may do that, okay? But anyway, it's an okay movie. It's very horror, very gory. If you like a very gory horror movie, it would be for you. But what I want to say is there was a resurgence by that coming out and people thinking, oh man, VHS is back, yada, yada, oh man, it's exciting and for collectors and people, oh man, and no. And, could there be a market here for a good while? Yes, there could be a market for a good while, but you've got to realize that's the first VHS that has come out in years, decades. I know Cars came out on Disney. I know there's a handful of movies at the end of 2007, 2008-ish in the VCR and the VHS world. But we've been a long time since any VHS has come out on a mass market scale. And this is still a limited scale that they're putting this Terrifier out. Now, you can buy it through their website from what I'm told. I'm not here to push Terrifier 2 at no point. I'm just telling you that's available. That's something, VHS, hey, it's doing okay. If you find the right stuff, always horror has done well. Your weird cult classics, your first editions of big movies do well. That type of stuff. Um, but VHS is not making a long term comeback. They're not going to start manufacturing VCRs again, okay? There's a big controversy over that. The last time I could find out by research that the VCRs were in any kind of mass production was 2016. That was by Funai. But they're not coming back. There's just the components and all that. It would be really expensive today if another VCR come out, okay? So I love the enthusiasm. If you want to list a few VHS, if you find the right stuff, by all means, there's a market for it. But I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna compare it to something. I seen a comparison on a Facebook page, kind of absurd, and I'm gonna address that right after these sales. All right, let's go over some things that sold. Sold 12 o'clock high DVD here, a little bit over $9 plus shipping. It's new, it's sealed, it's a 2-disc edition. Sold a bunch of Boy Scout pins and stuff. A long time ago, I got a big old bag for like $2. I think this was the third or fourth lot, but I hadn't sold any in a long, long time. But anyway, these are going close, thank goodness. $12 free shipping on those. You can tell it's an old one because it still got free shipping. Sold this Van Heusen here, 3XLT, which I always called the magic size. A little bit over $10 plus shipping. These going to be some clothing this time. Sold a Van Heusen 19, which is a 3X in the world of 19. Blue, about $11 plus shipping on that. Gave a kind of a deal on this because this was a cheapo shirt I'd picked up. This is chaps, purple, blue, 2XL. Picked up like 50 cents at a yard sale. I did $8 and something plus shipping on the chap shirt. So what I've seen on a Facebook page, it's a VCR, VHS Facebook page, and it's a really good Facebook page, okay? I'm not trying to put anybody down or try to, I'm not really trying to make people mad. I'm just trying to make a reality here. So I seen multiple comparisons when this Terrifier was selling out. And you can buy a Terrifier and then it can actually make you a few bucks on eBay right now. Don't know the life shelf, like would I be a buyer at this or would I be a buyer at that? I don't know. That's RA, and you want to speculate. That's on you, not on me. But what I did want to say is there was a comparison to vinyl records. And not just one person where, you get an offshoot. You had multiple people compare vinyl records to VHS. And for me, I kind of thought that was a huge stretch. And I'll explain why. I'm gonna tell you that it's a huge stretch. First of all, vinyl has a long, long track record. Okay? I know for a fact you can watch It's a Wonderful Life. That's a movie in the 40s. That's a middle-class home. And they have a record player. Now, generally, most middle-class homes, or the homes that were a little bit better in the 40s, tend to have record players. And they tend to have a radio, a big one of those, big coffin-style radio, or whatever they call those things. I'm sure I didn't use the right word, but you get the idea. Most of those had those middle class homes, not the rich people. I'm not talking about the rich people. It's not the Christians and the rich people. No, those people had record players in the 40s, and they played probably the 78 records. Okay, but as time evolved, I'm gonna tell you something. My mom was a child in the 60s. Okay, and her sister, and her later sister that was born in, let's see, that would have been 64. All three of them had record players of their own. and they were not middle class, okay? They were well below middle class, okay? I mean, I'm not saying they're broke, but they all each had their own, record players, okay? Granted, they were not high quality, these weren't no Bose or Fisher or anything that, would have blown a record player, but they had record players. And they played records, and they did 45s and 33s and all that. And what I'm going to say here is even when records kind of was on that last leg, what I would call probably the last leg, what I seen in my lifetime, which would probably been early 90s, early to mid 90s, probably was when vinyl kind of hit that low of lows, and it still was around and still people buying it and stuff like that. There were, guys in my high school that bought vinyl, not a whole lot, but they had bought vinyl. You had a lot of DJs. We had a lot of DJs that did parties and stuff. Man, they still use vinyl records. But what I want to say is they even sold still in the stores at that time. You go pick out your Nirvana album, your Nevermind Nirvana album. Okay, there was a bunch of the CDs. There was at least 2 or 3 rows of just CDs and Nirvana, Nevermind. And then there was a few cassettes, because cassettes were still a thing. Now, there wasn't a whole lot of cassettes. There was usually just a nice little row, 5 or 6 cassettes. And then there was a couple vinyl, especially I lived near a college town. Okay, at the time I lived in Radford, which is close to Christiansburg. But I would go over to the record exchange in Blacksburg, and they had vinyl. They had a whole section of old vinyl, vinyl from the 70s that they sold, and you could sell them vinyl. They wouldn't give you a lot, and the vinyl they had, even like the Grateful Dead or something like that, wouldn't have been over probably $4 or $5 back then. Stuff now that brings $25, $30 was cheap. Okay, it was at a probably an all-time low, somewhere there in the 90s, but then it started picking back up. But what I'm saying is, it never stopped. And the fact that you're comparing VHS to vinyl, it's not the same. It's totally apples and oranges. And, vinyl I've definitely now seen a resurgence. I see young people buying vinyl. I'm going to yard sales, and when I'm buying vinyl now, I'm buying new vinyl. I'm not buying the old vinyl. I'm buying the new vinyl. So, and I look for, say, 10 years from now, and I may be wrong. I may be, all that guy there didn't know what he was talking about. But 10 years from now, I think vinyl will still be doing really well. Vinyl outsells CDs now. Started 2 or 3 years ago, and has continued to still outsell CDs. But I don't see VHS having legs for long periods of time. Of course, there will always be collectible ones, but I don't see it having a long shelf life. If you like this kind of content, give me a like. Comment below, what's your thoughts on my rec? What's your thoughts on VHS? What's your thoughts on vinyl? Also, I'd like to thank some of my new subscribers. The One Foot Flipper and the Disgruntled Octopus put in some of their videos to come over and subscribe here. I appreciate that. When I was in a lot more pain than I am today, it was nice to hear, people kind of plug the channel. I do appreciate that. I always appreciate anything that anybody does for me. Thank you, and hopefully I'll be back more than like 10 days. Oh, and it's July 4th. Happy Independence Day, America.